This is the Oneplus Nord, a new mid-range phone from OnePlus. Yeah, I know. What? Let me just do the intro. Yeah, talk about the phone. Okay, uh, let's start with the specs. This phone has a Snapdragon 765G. No, not the specs. What do you want me to talk about? Just get to the important part already. The important part? But what about the rest of the video? I'll watch it, but first just tell me if it's a good phone or not. Fine, okay. I'll skip ahead, but this won't make sense if you don't watch the video. Yeah. So, is this a good phone? Yes and no. What? What was that? What do you mean yes and no? I told you, didn't I, that it wouldn't make sense? Now, let me start from the beginning. This is the OnePlus Nord, and I've been using this phone for the last 2 weeks, and I think this is a phone to definitely consider in its price range. But I don't think it's a phone for everyone. If you want to buy this phone, there are some conditions you need to have to buy this over its competitors. So let's see what those conditions are. You want a 90Hz AMOLED display in your phone. You only want a OnePlus phone under 30,000 rupees. You want OxygenOS. You want OIS for the camera. You want super fast charging, and you also care about 5G. But if you want this phone for those reasons, is this the only phone to buy? Well, no. Let's look at the Realme X2 Pro. I think it's still a great phone, and it's almost the same price as the OnePlus Nord. But the thing about this phone is it's better than the OnePlus Nord in almost every way. Everything that is good in the OnePlus Nord, the Realme X2 also has, and more. If OxygenOS is a necessity and you want nothing else but a OnePlus phone, only then this is the right phone for you. So let's see if this is a good phone or not. From the unboxing to using it daily, it feels great in the hand. Its frame is plastic, but it has Gorilla Glass on the front and the back. Even though it's plastic, its weight and how it feels when I'm holding it makes it feel like a premium phone. And this is the only phone I've ever used with a case given in the box makes the phone feel even better. I personally don't feel the punch hole is a distraction. It mostly stays out of the way. And the buttons feel clicky and good. And the slider to change the sound profiles, I love it. But there's no headphone jack, and it also does not have a memory card slot. That's a bummer. But that 90 Hz, man. That buttery smooth high refresh rate on this big beautiful display. I'm saying this again. If you don't understand why high refresh rate displays are better, you have to try it. Before buying this phone, I thought 90 Hz won't make that big of a difference, but it does. And here, it's not only 90 Hz, but also AMOLED. And it's bright, but just bright enough to be okay in daylight. It's colorful, but it's not insanely vibrant. The colors are more natural here than other phones, but you can adjust this in the settings to make it more vibrant, which is how I like it. But reduce the brightness to its lowest setting and you'll start noticing strange things. If you ever watched a video about the OnePlus 8 or the 8 Pro, you'll know what these things are. Green tint and punch hole banding. I don't even care about the punch hole banding. It's only noticeable on darker colors. But my problem is with the green tint. I was watching the movie 7 one night. All lights were off, so I brought the brightness down to its lowest. And in some scenes, I noticed the skin tones and the color of the lighting turned green. This is very visible in these kinds of scenes with the low lighting and dark colors. This problem can be solved by just increasing the brightness to 25% and above. OnePlus says it's just the AMOLED and there is no defect in the display or the phone, but I'm not so sure about that. But none of these issues are visible in daylight. So I'll give it a pass, only because it's not noticeable all of the time. One area where the phone absolutely shines is in its performance. Even when switching from heavy games to other apps, it never misses a beat. The 90Hz display makes the already fast OxygenOS even better. From unlocking to playing a game at its maximum settings, it's perfect. And I know it can't play PUBG at maximum graphics and FPS, but who cares really? I know for a fact that many people won't care. Most people, even with high-end phones, generally play on Smooth Extreme anyway to conserve battery. PUBG on this phone at Smooth Ultra, that's the highest FPS you can get on this phone from PUBG, is just as good. And COD Mobile is even better. Day-to-day performance is fantastic and I love this phone because of it. Small tip: if you want to play PUBG and you want to try 90 FPS that OnePlus recently enabled, you can on this phone. All you have to do is just enable the 90 FPS setting in GFX tool and you can try PUBG at 90 FPS. But because it's not an official setting released by Tencent or optimized by OnePlus, you might lose some frames. It only has one speaker, but it's very loud and the sound quality is more than good. The sound from it is mostly clear except at high volumes. Then there is some distortion, but nothing too bad. Oh, and the vibration motor. The vibrations when typing or when using the phone feel really good. They're subtle. I wish they're a little bit stronger, but what you get is better than most other phones. And I really like the sound quality of the mic as well. Now, this is the first time I'm using a OnePlus phone, but I know OxygenOS. My friends have OnePlus phones and from what I saw on their phones, it looked like it was perfect. But now that I have used it, I can definitely say it is perfect. All the animations are seamless. Switching between apps just feels right. And it's fast. The fingerprint is fast, the face unlock is fast, opening the camera and any other app is just as fast. But it's also minimal and clean, like stock Android. And it has all the necessary and useful features too. But there's no always on display feature and I do miss that. It only has ambient display. You have to tap the screen to activate it or it'll activate if you get a notification. And there is one bug I hope OnePlus will fix soon. Some apps like Netflix and some games don't stretch to the full screen. They shrink below the punch hole and the setting to enable the full screen display doesn't show all the apps to change their individual settings. The phone has a 4115 mAh battery and that is more than good enough to make the phone last an entire day. My regular screen on times ranged from 5 hours to 7 hours, depending on my usage of course. That's pretty good. Even if I played too many games and killed the phone very quickly, the 30-watt fast charger is super fast. So in just an hour, I'm able to use my phone again. Now, the cameras are the only area that let me down a little bit. It's a mixed bag really. The main 48 megapixel camera is really good. The colors and the details the photos have really satisfied me. Not only can it take good pictures during the day, but also in low light conditions. And honestly, the wide angle is also really good. Unless you zoom in too much, the overall quality of the photos is generally above average. Except in low light. This is where the wide angle falls apart. Speaking of low light, the nightscape mode increases the brightness a little and makes the image a little sharper, but that's it. It's not that significant of a difference. And this is where the good news about the cameras stop. So far, I only talked about 2 cameras. There are 4 more. The 5 megapixel depth camera, the 2 megapixel macro camera, and the 2 cameras on the front. Let's start with the 5 megapixel depth camera. It doesn't work. I mean, it's not actually used at all. I tried taking photos with the depth camera covered and the portrait photos looked exactly the same. The photos are good, but the extra camera for the portraits feels unnecessary. And the 2 megapixel macro camera is bad, plain and simple. Even with direct sunlight, it's always grainy and blurry. The photos are not sharp at all, there are no details, and the colors look washed out. There have been 2 updates to improve the macro camera and Only the most recent one fixed the colors a little bit. The photos now from the macro camera are a little more vibrant. And then the front cameras. The 32 megapixel main camera on the front is not bad. The quality and the details in the photos are above average, and the camera itself is a little wider than most front cameras. So even without the wide angle, it can already fit more into the photo. But its biggest issue is it makes the photos a little too bright. It overexposes. Even when it has good enough lighting, the phone doesn't control the brightness. At least the video quality is good. It's actually very good. The main camera on the back has OIS, so the video is very stable. But you can enable a super steady mode for even better stabilization. There is also a Cine 4K mode. It's just a 21:9 aspect ratio that is a little wider than normal video. And the wide angle also supports 4K video. And surprisingly, the front camera can shoot at 4K 60 FPS, but the back camera can't. Video from the front camera is very good. This is especially important to me because I shoot all my videos on my phone with the front camera. So, is this a good phone? Yes and no. It has fantastic speed and performance, great battery, a good display, and decent cameras. Where people might have issues is the display and the cameras. This display could have been great, but it isn't. These cameras can be great with more software updates, but right now, they aren't. And you can tell the camera hardware is great. It's the software and the image processing that makes the photos mediocre. But I am still happy with this phone because of its fast performance and its 90Hz AMOLED. So, what do you think about the OnePlus Nord? I think it's great that OnePlus is making budget phones again, and there are more on the way. And I know this phone will get better over time with software updates. I hope. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.